Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Benita Johnson.
Hi, and welcome to Books and Bottles. I'm your host, Benita Johnson. Welcome back. This is our show where we introduce you to your favorite author and his or her work, and we pair it with the wine or spirit. If this is your first time, we're really excited to have you, but we invite all of our listeners, our viewers, to share. Please share so other folks can see and meet these wonderful people as well. So listen, we have a great season for you, but tonight I am so honored to have the author and some of the contributing authors of a wonderful book that debuted on Amazon at #1 just a few weeks ago, Lessons for the Little Boy. So without further ado, I want to bring on Miss Jamie Gill.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am excellent. How are you tonight, Miss Benita?
I'm great, and I am so honored to meet you and to have you on Books and Bottles.
I'm a major fan of the show, so I am honored to be here. Major fan.
So I wanted to talk to you first because this is your baby. This is your brainchild. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's still kind of surreal that it's real. This was a baby that was 6 years in the delivering process.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's a big old boy.
That's a big boy. And it is proven to be such. Just the response that people have given already literally is mind-blowing. And I know I shouldn't be surprised because I knew in my heart how much this book was needed. But still, how you feel things on the inside, you never know if people are going to have that same experience with it. So it's been an amazing week.
So why did you think, what was going on? Why did you think that it was needed?
So here's the funny thing. I love telling this story because it's so organic. I wrote my first book, Lessons for the Little Girl, in 2000. It was published in 2014.
Okay.
And I was at a book signing at a comedy show, a Christian comedy show. And one of my friends, I have to give a major shout out to Pat Hudson, asked me to come out and be a vendor to sell my books. I said, sure. A gentleman walked up, Mr. Floyd, who literally without his seed, I don't know if this would happen now at this point.
Okay.
But he walked up to me and I said, okay, sir, who would you like to have this book signed to? Your daughter, your wife, your girlfriend, And he was like, no. He was like, if you have something in there for women, I know it's something that men can learn from too.
Ooh.
And it was in that moment, like, oh my God, there needs to be a Lessons for Little Boy. I immediately called Glenn and the publishing team, like, look, we got to write this book right now. We got to get it out next month. They're like, whoa. Slow down. I was like, no, it's needed. This man said. And literally, it was just this really organic process that I began to pray over and really consider, okay, Jamie, you're a woman. How can you write Lessons for a Little Boy? But literally, when I tell you, God literally just showed me the way. And so here we are.
Yeah, hold that book up. Let folks see it.
Yes, it's so pretty. Look, and the back is just as cute as the front with all
the handsome faces on the back of that book. I'm still waiting on Mr. Amazon to knock on my door and drop off my book.
Girl, me too. Look, I still got some I'm ordering too. Like, where you at? Everybody else got theirs.
I know, right? I'm waiting.
Don't they know?
So, I mean, it must be like, just so, as you said, it's so surreal. You put this out and you're telling these stories. These gentlemen that's a part of your dream are sharing their stories and giving their lessons. And then you hit Amazon and you hit it hard.
Girl. So so here's the thing. Like, I understand. They always say you never know the impact that you have or who you're connected to. I began to post about Lessons for the Little Boy. And one of my favorite stories is a lady who I'm not even friends with came on the post and said, oh, I know one of those faces, Jim Smith. And I said, that's my uncle. My uncle wrote the foreword for the book. Okay. I had my uncle write the foreword because all of the men who helped raise me, my father, my godfather, my grandfathers, they're all passed away. And I thought that it would be a great connection to our relationship, but also because my uncle used to play in the NFL. He was a major athlete. He went to University of Michigan, Rose Bowl champion, just the whole nine. And so once he left the NFL, he's now a very successful business owner with car dealerships. And so I think that he helps to show the transition of life, come from the small town of Robbins. For those from Chicago know how small Robbins is, for him to achieve so much success in his life, but he was also very flexible. So I thought that he had a very amazing perspective of his journey through manhood. And so he wrote the foreword for me. And so this lady was like, I know that man. I said, that's my uncle. And so she and I were not friends. She must have been friends with one of the other authors because that's how she saw the post, because I tagged them all in it. And so just to see how people are connected.
Yeah.
And the thing that is equally as amazing to me is to see the response from women. That is blowing my mind.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you before we bring on the other two of the contributing authors, because you of course, are a woman, and you actually contributed a chapter in the book. How was that, received, that a woman was leaving a lesson?
I have to tell you that there were quite a few questions like, and people were respectful, like, what can you tell a man about being a man? I said, absolutely nothing. and that's why I literally just created the platform. The first chapter of the book, I share an experience that I had with my father. I think that as women, we can't tell a man how to be a man, but we can learn how to support a man. We can learn how to hear a man. We can learn how to love a man. We can learn how to be friends with the man. There are several different areas in which we have relationship with men. And so in order to be the best, whatever we're supposed to be in that situation, I think we have to be able to hear their perspective. And I'll get us as women, sometimes we think we know it all. Just sometimes, we think we know it all. So these very intelligent men are so vulnerable. And that's how I set the stage. I share a moment where I had a moment of vulnerability with my father, and how I attacked him in the moment of vulnerability, and how I was instantly convicted. And then I began to realize, this is why men shut down. This is why men, don't share this. And this is why men don't do that, because we as women, sometimes, not always, we don't create the space for them to feel safe with their emotions and their experiences. And so that's what I do. I create the space, and then I back up and I let the men have their way. And then I come back and I give a closing for the man to basically congratulate them on their journey to self-reflection. And so that's my role. I am the hostess with the mostest in the book.
You did it. Thanks for the platform. So let's bring on two of the folks who contributed, Mr. Carlo Kennedy and Robert Hazard.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. It is so great to be back.
Yes, thanks for coming back. And Robert, this is your first time on Books and Bottles.
It is, man. I feel like I've arrived now. I can say that I've been on your show.
I'm just honored to be in the same space with you, sir.
Man. Hey.
So,
two wonderful queens. What, Carla? What can we say? This is. Thank you guys so much.
It's an honor to be here. Definitely.
So I have to ask, how did you feel when you were approached to ask to contribute to such a wonderful book? I mean, it definitely caused you to have to open up and share some things about yourself. Carlo, you first.
All right. The offer to contribute came to me at a point in my life where I was actually going through some stuff and doing a lot of journaling anyway, and writing some things. And my chapter pretty much just wrote itself, because I was so ready to write this chapter. And, it's just so interesting. I mean, I could say a lot more about it, but writing the chapter was in some ways healing for me as well. And I feel like I was able to really, contribute something from my experience. So it was just it was great timing.
Perfect. How about you, Robert?
I was going through something as well. It seems like all of us are always going exiting out of something.
Right?
Oh my God, and so it called for me to be a little more, to be vulnerable. And Jamie wanted me to give more of myself and, just, put it on the pages, but I tried to do the best I could with revealing some things about, myself growing up, and et cetera. So, like Carlos said, they say it's therapeutic to journal, to write. I've always known that it's therapeutic to journal. The challenge is when you're journaling per se, or at least for me, I wasn't a doctor, but maybe that was the role I was supposed to go, because, for the life of me, I cannot read, my writing, which is probably a good thing that I can't. But I was able to type up some of this.
I was going to say, does it count as journaling if you type it or you speak it? It should still count, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. It should count. So let's do that one.
But kudos to you. I talk to a lot of folks about journaling, and to be quite frank, it's mostly women that talk about journaling all the time. I'm guilty. I promised myself I'm going to journal. Every day is like my new year, and I never start. So.
Nice.
And
you don't journal?
I used to. I have journals upstairs, and probably 10 or 12. And, just over the last few years, I haven't been consistent. So, but when I have something that I want to say, I do put it down. So,
yeah, that's great.
So,
that's great.
And here's the thing I want to share, Benita. That's amazing. I've never met Robert a day in my life.
Oh, wow. But don't you feel like you know him? But don't you feel like you know him?
The very first conversation, it was immediate, and it's actually 4 authors total that I have never been in the same space in. But just through technology, we were connected, and it was no question in my mind they needed to be in the book.
And you did a great job. I mean, I read the most of it, and the stories and the things that the folks share. I'm a mother of 2 boys, and I love those lessons and the things that these gentlemen put in that book, and they are things that can take you places.
Yes.
And career, personal development, family.
We don't think that men go through stuff, or we just think that they should be able to handle it because they're a man.
Yeah.
And you'll learn through the book for those of you who are going to purchase the book. And as Benita is learning,
everybody's going to purchase the book.
Everybody else going to purchase it. Is that how do you learn something if you're never taught?
Right.
Or if you're never exposed to those lessons. And that's the thing that I actually, want to press out into the world, that it's not that these men have all of the answers, but they have some insight onto what worked for them. And so if you have questions in your own life about, how to be a man, how to start a business, or how to navigate in the world as a man, or how to get over grief, or, how to get over loss, whatever the situation is, that they have some examples.
Mm-hmm.
You can just be like, okay, well, you know what I'm doing isn't working. Let me go see what Carlo did.
Yeah, let's see what this person did.
Let me see. And so, and I think for me, because I know that works for my life, I will learn from other people's examples and experiences. And so I just wanted to present some pretty amazing experiences to the world to help men be the best that they can be.
Okay. So Robert, your chapter was called Family Matters. So tell us a little bit about the lesson that you leave and how it came about.
Hopefully my mic is okay. I grew up with mom and a dad in a household, and I thought it was very, very important that, or my mom thought it was very important that my dad taught me some lessons about how to be a man. I think we talked about that earlier. Is that, a woman doesn't necessarily know how to do that. But, my dad, my mother told me to spend some time with my dad, where possible, because my dad worked 2 full-time jobs for 30 years.
Wow.
So it was really kind of hard to get, time with him, but it was important for me. And so in that growing up period, my dad taught me a lot of things about, how to take care of a household, how to fix things, how to do things around, the yard and stuff like that. So it was so when I talk about the chapter Family Matters, it really is really speaking to what my experience was like, with my dad.
Thank you. And one thing you said in your chapter that I had never even thought about, like a lot of times when we have kids, we say, all right, go play in all these sports. And so a lot of times it's because the dad played those sports. But as you explained in your chapter, it's not about that. It gives the father and son a chance to be together, to bond. The dad gets to be, the sideline coach and do all of that, so I get that. And I like that you said that. I grew up, my dad was a single parent. And so, of course, I didn't have to do none of this stuff. He was a brick mason, so I went on a lot of brick jobs, but, I can understand exactly what, that hit home. So thanks for that.
Sure.
So, Carlo, your chapter is the lessons continue.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I said this to people before, and I've always been drawn to time travel stories, and as you know, I've written a couple of time travel novels, and one of the things that I think is so fascinating about time travel, and one of the things that draws people to it is this, this idea that if you could travel back in time, you could maybe fix your mistakes, and this idea of what if I could send a message to my younger self? What would I say to my younger self that might help me avoid some of the problems that I've had? And so I really took this chapter as the opportunity to sort of take that on. And, we were talking about earlier how, somebody mentioned how sometimes we think men don't have problems, or at least they pretend, we pretend like we don't have these problems, or we feel like we have to hide the fact that we have problems. And, sometimes that makes it worse. Sometimes thinking, this sort of, I got this attitude, I don't need help, I can do this all by myself, I don't want anyone to know. Sometimes that makes it worse. And so, I was able to just sort of put down on paper some of the lessons I learned, and some of the mistakes I made that hopefully maybe other people won't have to make the same mistakes. And if they can, sort of think big picture in terms of some of the lessons I learned, it might help somebody else. So that was kind of how I approached it. And yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea is learning from someone else's experience.
Okay, so I have a question, and Jamie, this is for you too.
Yes,
Carlo just mentioned he asked with time travel if he could go back and fix some mistakes. I want to ask, would you go back and fix some things if you could, or were these things a part of the learning blocks?
Mistakes. Which one are you meaning?
Okay, you get to pick two. You pick fix two.
Wow. You know what? I was just talking to a friend about this the other day. And, at first, our mature answer is no, I would keep everything the same because I wouldn't be the woman that I am today if I did not have those experiences. But I would.
Okay.
There are a few things that I would change. And, but it would change my whole life. So maybe not. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I do. There are two things that immediately, or three things that kind of come up immediately. And when I think about things that I would have changed, not that my life would be better. I often tell people that I delayed my growth in a lot of ways in my life. I was the baby of my family and treated as such. And I wasn't complaining. It worked for me. But now as a woman over 40, you begin to recognize like, ooh, it would have been very advantageous if I had did this sooner, or if I had picked up that skill a lot sooner. Not that it's right or wrong. I just would have liked to make some different turns in a different way. I don't regret my life in any way, shape, or form. But I do wish that I would have changed. Like I would have left Chicago sooner. I love Chicago and I come home every chance I get. I'm looking for a reason to come back there now to see my guys. But I recognize that I didn't for whatever the reasons were. But a lot of it was just because I was afraid, very honestly. And so that I would change. I would change that fear. I would turn that down a little bit. And some of the other mistakes we won't go into on this show. But yes, there are a couple.
Okay.
There are a couple.
How about you, Robert?
Ooh. Yeah, there are a number of things that I would change. I don't know that I would change my character. I think that, taking the lessons from my mom as well as from my dad, I think that as well as the religious background that they kind of put me in the box has helped me to be the person that I am today. But I think that if I could go back, I'd certainly change how I reared my children. I might even change, when I had, my kids, when we started having children, and things like that. But there'd probably be some other things. Is I think we talked about fear.
Mm-hmm.
God, I would have probably, I traveled a lot when I was younger, but I think I would have, God, I would have done so many different things that provide so much impact that I think that we need today.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. Can we go back?
That's right. We'll jump into Carlo's books. Maybe
yes, right. Take us back, Carlo.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of wisdom in what Jamie was saying about how you can't regret your journey because it makes you who you are. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to live with regrets. Yeah. But, we all probably have a list of things that if we could give to our younger self, we could say, don't waste time on these 5 things, or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So I have to ask, since we're Books and Bottle Show, what's everybody drinking today?
Gentlemen, I'll let you go first.
Well, I'm drinking Weller, so it's bourbon that I'm drinking tonight. I'm switching it up. I was going to drink wine because the wine crawl stuff, but then I said nope. Let me switch it up.
Okay.
Well, that's a lot classier than what I have. I've got some basic Merlot here, just the bottle that happened to be open on the counter today. So, but I'm a red wine guy, as most of you already know. So
he said basic. It's probably like a Chateau Margaux or something.
Right? I think that's what I thought. I thought he said that.
It's Chateau Billy Bob something or other. I don't know. Whatever.
And I'm going to not show my glass. I'm going to show the bottle because I think the bottle is so cute. So this is how I choose my wine sometimes to, have new experiences. I just go and with whichever bottle I like. That's the wine I'm going to try. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually drinking Francis Coppola. It has fishnets. Do you see that? Like,
how cute.
That's why I had to buy that.
Now you got lucky that time because sometimes the cute bottles are like their way to hide some garbage. So
they're gross. So yeah, so that was a, and I just happened to be in the aisle with someone who had it before, so that helped.
Well, I'm studying, so this is homework. I'm studying to be a bourbon steward, so I am drinking.
My kind of class.
This is just Maker's Mark Cask Strength. So.
Oh, I saw that today.
Yes. And I don't know if everybody else, I'm in Virginia, and Virginia is, it's the ABC stores are bare. It's awful. So.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah. If anybody got anything, just send it. I'll give you my address.
Bring it.
Yes, just send it. So I had a question. When we talked about, I think we mentioned, and I'm gonna jack the word now, but we mentioned being able to express and be vulnerable and put things out there. Do we feel like when we look at our parents, do you think our parents would have been open to sharing some of these lessons that we seem so comfortable sharing now?
No. I think that's why so many of us are jacked up, because
they held secrets, right?
I told my mom one time in college, I was going over I was crying over this guy. Not even a guy who I was like madly in love with or anything like that, but it was just the situation just didn't pan out the way that I thought. And I'm just crying. And my mom says, and she begins to tell this story of when she was a young lady and the situation she went through. And my tears stopped immediately. And I just looked at her like, maybe if you had shared this with me before, I wouldn't be going but I believe I grew up in a generation where, parents kept their pain and their struggles to themselves because they felt that either sharing them made them weak, or B, it would encourage you to go do some of those things. I'm not sure. Or maybe very honestly, they were still processing through some of those struggles.
Right.
But for me, I learned from people's journeys. And so I really want this book or the entire lesson series to be an opportunity for the generations to begin to recognize that it's okay.
Yeah.
That your parents are not perfect. Your grandparents are not perfect. They're not angels. They have had some shortcomings and weaknesses, just like you will. But hopefully together, we can learn from each other. They can learn from you in the newer generation or the younger generation about how they can. I think one of the greatest lessons that I had with my dad, this one almost ended up in the book, but my dad was so mad at my grandfather. And my father was just going off about it. He never came to my basketball games. The vein was popping out of my dad's neck. And he's going off. Mind you, my father was 70 plus at this time of the story. So I looked, and my grandfather died in 1989.
Okay.
And my dad.
You still mad?
I said, Daddy, like, get over it. Like I said, Daddy.
What you say that for?
He was in high school for 33 million years. Like, what are you talking about? He looked at me like, what? Like, he was so shocked that I was laughing. I could not stop laughing. And so once I stopped laughing, I just began to tell him, I said, Daddy, you have to deal with that and let it go. I said, Granddad did the best that he could for where he was, as I'm sure you did in your decisions as it related to us. I said, but can you still play basketball now? And he ended up laughing too. And it was such a great moment for the both of us, for him to learn that he could my dad wasn't a person who knew how to let go very easily.
Right.
And so in his 70s, as his daughter, I was able to help my dad to learn to forgive. You don't necessarily have to forget, but you can forgive. I said, write it down, throw it in the garbage, burn it up. But Daddy, please, like, I don't need you to share this with this much passion anymore.
Sure. I get it.
I don't think that they do. I could be wrong, but I know my family doesn't.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that about your dad. I thought about, my dad as you were speaking there, and I remember I was a newly married young man back when, I thought my dad could give me so much advice, about marriage, because my mom and dad had been married for 50 years, or they went on to be married for 50 years. At that particular time, they weren't. But I remember having an argument with my ex-wife, and I went to my dad, and I'm like, you know what? If you had told me how to be a better, husband or something, I wouldn't be arguing, over some. It probably was trivial, but it seemed like it was really something for me. And, and my dad looked at me and he says, "Hey, you know what? These are just lessons. You just need to learn that. You're going to get through this." And then he wanted to tell me about, what I know about the Bible and all that sort of stuff. But I said, I don't want to hear about the Bible now. But, I just want your wisdom. I want you to solve, because I felt like my dad was a Superman. And I may have talked about it in this book or something. But I thought he could solve world hunger. He could do, many things, which is why I wanted to be with him. So it's funny to hear the stories about our parents. They did the best they could, and as he said, he did the best he could with me. And so there you have it.
Thank you for sharing.
True.
So I want to thank all of you for being a part of Books and Bottles. This was just a great experience, and I am so excited to finish reading the book Lessons for the Little Boy. For our viewers, you can get the book on Amazon. It is selling out. That's why mine must be taking so long, because they probably don't have it anymore. So please get the book. I'm telling you, you will love it. And get it for the young men in your life. They need to read this and just see, what some gentlemen have been willing to share. It could definitely help some folks. So again, thank you so much, and I wish you all great success and plenty more sales.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Blessing. Cheers.
To any authors who are viewing and you want to be a part of Books and Bottles, please email us at info@groseprod.com. We love to have you. So until next week, we'll see you again on Books and Bottles. Cheers.
Cheers.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.